Or Kohler.
Can I refer participants to my register of interests? As the committee are already aware, one of my donors, namely Safwan Adam, has a commercial interest in Stay Belvedere Hotels, who have been a subcontractor to Clearsprings, who are likely to be referred to in today's proceedings. Can I push you a bit on the profit, 7% profit? When the contracts were determined, the assumption would be most of it would be in dispersal accommodation. Vast amounts are now going to far more expensive contingency hotels, contingency accommodation. The costs are higher. Therefore, 7% of that higher turnover is a huge bonus to you, isn't it, in comparison to what was assumed to be the case when the contracts were first established?
In terms of the headline numbers, obviously they have gone up significantly through increased numbers coming through the system. I don't think that necessarily flows into increased profit for the operators per se. I think the important element of that is the anticipated margin, and I think the NAO acknowledge that actually the range of margins demonstrated by the operators are at the lower end of expectation, and as I said before, and even certainly so far as Mears is concerned, the numbers quoted are in the real world will be lower than that once the profit share mechanism has been applied. But obviously it has led to an increase in profits because we are doing more than we expected.
Do you want to offer any other comments?
So I guess just from a Clearsprings perspective, yes, it generates more cash because the numbers are bigger in terms of that amount. And for Clearsprings, we have that in the group account ready to reinvest back into a number of projects, including social housing, finding additional dispersed accommodation, bringing some properties back online that are in disrepair at the moment. So it gives us an opportunity to invest back in to try and find solutions to getting more dispersed accommodation on board, reducing the need for hotels.
Yes, I think it might be helpful as an illustration that 3/4 of our service users are in dispersed accommodation. So very much sort of the bulk of the people that we're accommodating, we are accommodating in private rental accommodation, not hotels. I think it's also just worth understanding that whilst the income per service user in hotels is higher, so are the costs of delivering them, but we also bear the cost of any void accommodation, any private rental accommodation that is not currently occupied. We bear the cost of that. So there is an incentive to move people from hotels into the private rental sector, which we are paying for, and we it's helpful to us to then get the revenue from. You're
getting a full amount for the hotels, no matter how many people are in them, aren't you? Because the hotels are done on the basis of how much they can accommodate. So you're doing far better out of that deal than losing out of it, because you maximise. You're putting them into a dispersal accommodation where you have to, because you'll be penalised. You don't get penalised about taking them out of hotel accommodation, do you?
We are penalised if we can't place people in accommodation.
Different question. That's not the question I asked.
No, we're penalised for that. So it's essential that we maintain enough accommodation of the various different types to be able to ensure that we can offer places. Hotels are generate higher revenue
even if they're empty.
Accommodation. But empty dispersed accommodation is a cost to us as well.
Empty hotels are a profit to you in the same way. There's no... it's all accepted, isn't it, by all of you, that you get more cash out of the hotels than out of dispersal accommodation. Yeah? Yes? You accept that?
Revenue is higher, yes.
Talk me through why you say you're incentivised to get people into dispersal accommodation. And what does Graham King think about the idea that you want to get all of it into dispersal accommodation when your profits are coming, your cash, not your percentage, but your cash is coming from the the contingency hotels?
I can talk from our perspective on that one, and it is about longevity of contract. So yes, it gives us immediate cash now, but we're not providing a product that our customer, the Home Office, particularly wants, because they want dispersed accommodation. We want to be in for the long game, for a long period of time. We only do that by meeting our customers' need, and the need is to get more dispersed accommodation, have less hotels. Also, we are penalised for not providing sufficient dispersed accommodation, and again, if there are voids in those hotels, if there are empty rooms in those hotels, if there are rooms down for repairs, then there are mechanisms that the Home Office can apply to get the money back for that. But fundamentally, in terms of what drives us, it's not the cash today, it is the longevity of business, the fact that sustainable business for this particular cohort is about providing dispersed accommodation, not leaving people languishing in expensive hotels for long periods of time.
Yeah, I would echo what Claudia and Steve have said, and again highlight that from Mears' perspective, when we pitched for the contract, we were not envisaging leaning on hotels or utilising hotels at all. We are determined to reduce our reliance on hotels, and I think our track record has demonstrated that we've had some success in that range.
You weren't envisaging it, but you've been amply compensated for it because it's increased your profits.
Well, we've been providing Home Office with a service that needed to be provided in very challenging circumstances. I think it's very easy to forget the world that we were living in when COVID landed and the challenges that brought and the additional requirements that put on the operators to keep people safe, their people, our service users safe. And that was a situation that nobody really foresaw. We're through that now, fortunately, and we are now trying to get back to what we hoped would be our business as usual position. We've provided a service, and it's a service. It's a greater service than we thought because the numbers are higher and people are in the system probably longer than was anticipated.
We're an organisation that offers business services to government, and we live or die by our ability to provide governments with the services that they want and that they need and that they think provide them with decent value for money. And as Steve said, we would not be well served by going for the quick buck now and running out of goodwill with the government, our customers. So longevity is a very serious point to us, and it must be said, I have a lot of conversations with senior people in the Home Office, and conversations that don't include their determination to reduce and eventually cease the use of hotels. Such conversations are very few and far between. They are absolutely focused on reducing the use of hotels, and we are very, very clear that is what they want us to do. Hence, we've reduced our hotel occupancy by 50% in the past year.
It's still being paid for those hotels?
We're being paid for a service that we're providing. Yes.
Those hotels, what are the contracts for the hotels? How long are they? How long are these hotels?
I'm sorry.
How long do you have these contracts for the hotels? How long have you contracted with the Home Office to supply the hotels?
I think that varies.
Sorry?
I believe that varies.
Are these short-term or long-term contracts?
So I can probably assist on this. Yeah, for the most part, they're on a 3-month rolling contract, so it's short term. Obviously, from the commercial world, you need to give hotel operators some warning of a change, but the reality of the situation is that they're on short notice. If Home Office require a hotel to be closed, or we're in a position to close it, then that can be achieved relatively quickly.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Lakey, I'd like to look at Stay Belvedere hotels. The Home Office refused permission for you to use Stay Belvedere hotels as a subcontractor. So significant elements of their behaviour were failures and significant elements of their behaviour. Why didn't you notice?
So we're still waiting for the full details from the Home Office in terms of their concerns, and certainly we work with all of our subcontractors, including Stay Belvedere, with any challenges or concerns that we would have around the performance. You have no concerns about Stay Belvedere? No, we have concerns on a regular basis with all of our provider in terms of where they don't meet any requirements, then we will raise that with them and work.
You're not aware of Stay Belvedere being worse than the others?
I don't have that comparison in comparative to the other providers, but we would have been working with Stay Belvedere on any issues or concerns they may have had.
How good at Clearsprings? How good are you as a company at dealing with management information?
I think we're good. I think we do what's required of us, but I think we have been in some very challenging and difficult times. We've gone, as we've discussed, from 700 people in initial accommodation to, at its peak in 2024, 32,000, which is a big leap across numerous sites. So I think there have been lots and lots of challenges, but I think we're
good.
Okay.
Do you know about KPI 9?
Yes.
Can you tell the committee what KPI 9 is about?
So KPI 9 is about the provision of 2 specific pieces of management information, and only 2 specific pieces of management information.
What's the requirement each month?
Is that those pieces of information have to be submitted on time.
Have you ever fallen foul of it?
Yes, we have.
You haven't? You've never fallen foul of it, according to our figures?
In terms of, we're allowed 2 failures.
Yeah.
And
that's the point.
Yes.
You're only penalised if you have 3 failures.
Yes.
You are the worst provider of management information, but you only do 1 or 2 failures a month. You play that system very well. Why don't you employ a few more information officers? Do you know what the profits per person in Clearsprings have gone up from 2020 to 20?
I don't have that information in front of me.
Well, let me tell you. Your profits per employee has gone up from £6,000 per employee to £300,000 per employee. Mm-hmm. Amazing productivity. But maybe you should employ a few more people to get the job done properly.
Thank you. We'll take that comment away. I don't really know how I can
I'd like to hear
that.
what you think.
We're constantly recruiting. We've gone from just under 100 people to well over 500. And certainly that area and a number of other areas are under constant review, and we're always looking to improve.
How come you constantly fail to provide management information to the Home Office?
In a timely manner. So it was about the timing, not
timely manner is part of.
It's not about the data and the information itself, it's about when it was provided.
Well, why don't you provide it in time?
Well, we do try, and we're working on our systems. But as I said,
employ some more people.
And we are recruiting all the time, and that's certainly one of the areas that we will look to recruit into.
Thank you. Ben Maguire.
Thanks, Chair. I just wanted to go back to a question a moment ago that Paul was asking of you, Steve. I was quite concerned to hear your answer there that the Stay Belvedere hotels, in your view, or company's view, was potentially just as bad as any of the others, because the Home Office actually removed permission for you to use Stay Belvedere hotels as a subcontractor because significant elements of their behaviour and performance fell short of what the government would expect. So I really wanted to pick up on that point, and I was just quite concerned that you, as a business, hadn't spotted that yourself, and that you needed the Home Office actually to step in here and remove permission. Do you mind just explaining that point in a bit more detail?
If I can, I will, but I'm not sure I can add very much more. It's a very live subject at the moment, as you can imagine, and we are in conversations with both Stay Belvedere and the Home Office. I'm not sure I can shed, at this stage, very much more light on that. I'm sorry.
You're absolutely clear. You're not aware of Stay Belvedere requiring that sanction. Is that your view? Your view is you're not aware of any defects in what they are providing, which is worse than your other subcontractors. No, is that your position?
That's not my position.
What is your position?
My position is we are right in the middle of that live situation at the moment. We're in conversations with the Home Office and with SBHL. We're following the instruction that we've been given, but I don't have any more detail or data that I can give you here.
That's not a position. That's just waffle. With respect.
That's our position.
So you're not going to
have the information available to be able to give you a more defined answer than that, I'm afraid.
Finish, Ben.
Thank you. I'd like to go back to these onerous KPIs. It's a self-reporting system, isn't it? You mark your own homework. Do you think that's particularly onerous?
Well, I didn't use that word. I think I said stringent.
Okay.
I think
stringent.
I think stringent is appropriate because we're being paid a lot of money to deliver this service. And I think it's right and proper that the Home Office hold us to account.
They're not. You're holding yourself to account.
Well, they do hold us to account also.
Well, according to the Chief Inspector, the Home Office has no capacity to do so, and your systems aren't robust. So how exactly are these KPIs robust?
I think our systems are robust.
So you're disagreeing with what the... Did you respond to the Chief Inspector when he said that?
For example...
Did you respond to the Chief Inspector when he said that in his report?
I'm not sure. But, for example, during April, we carried out 17,000 property inspections of our portfolio. Over a 12-month period, the Home Office themselves will carry out thousands of inspections of our property portfolio. So I think it would be wrong to say that we're not held up to scrutiny, and I think it would be wrong to say that the Home Office is not a well-informed customer.
Would you apply that process to your subcontractors? Would you allow them to tell you how well they're doing quality assurance? Is that a system you would use in business?
Well, I mean, interestingly, we rely very little on subcontractors.
In any part of your business, would you rely on the person or the company providing a service to tell you how well they're doing it, or would you make your own judgment?
Of course, we operate sort of due diligence and we operate governance to make sure that where we do use subcontractors, they're delivering the service.
Do you think self-reporting or KPIs is a robust system?
Well, I think given that it's then backed by inspections and also there are or would be significant issues attached to misreporting, as we know,
give yourselves a clean bill of health nearly all the time. You're constantly giving yourself a clean bill of health. We hear from inspectors, we hear many problems, but you rarely fall foul of your KPIs. All of you. It's not just your company.
Well, the Home Office inspect.
They don't have the resource. They've said so themselves, or the Chief Inspector said so.
Well, I can't speak for the Chief Inspector, but I know that the Home Office carried out thousands of inspections of our property in the past 12 months.
Yeah, I would echo what Claudia said. We do work in a very collaborative way. We are scrutinised significantly. There are a lot of Home Office independent inspections. They have access to our system, so they can go in and not necessarily rely on what we tell them. They can have a look at themselves. All of our repair and maintenance jobs are...
Why did the Chief Inspector say the Home Office's capacity to carry out assurance activity in hotels is extremely limited, and that providers' self-reports, which indicate extremely high performance against KPIs, were not robust? Was the Chief Inspector just making it up?
I can't speak for what the Chief Inspector had.
You disagree with that? You are saying he is wrong?
I would say our properties are scrutinised.
You're saying the Chief Inspector is wrong in that judgment?
I would say our properties are in good condition. They are heavily scrutinised, and Home Office has free range to analyse our data.
As I said to Ms. Sturt, is this approach you would take to companies working for you? Would you take this approach that you rely on their quality assurance to tell you how well they're doing the job? Would you do that as a business person?
In circumstances where we do utilise subcontractors, and in the asylum contract, we do to some extent, but not heavily. A vast majority of what we do is self-delivered. But we have the same requirement on them as we have from the Home Office. So they are required to report performance. We have access to their data to analyse it. They are required to report in the terms that we report. So that's GPS photographs, date stamped, time stamped. So we know exactly where their people are at any given time. So we have the means to actually audit and check. And
the information you provide in reporting on your KPIs, do you give them date-stamped GPS stuff? You give that to the Home Office?
Yeah, absolutely.
Same for us. I guess I would say self-reporting only works as long as it's not self-audited. Self-reporting is absolutely fine if you're reporting your performance, providing that's then audited. And I get that that's a challenge in the
And is it,
hotel
do you think
world
it's
and
adequately
size.
audited?
I don't think it's a call for me to make. I think that's between the Chief Inspector and the Home Office. But from my perspective, what we would do is the subcontractors would report their performance, and then we would go out and verify to see if we agreed.
Is that
with
what you've
their
done with Stay
assessment.
Belvedere?
That it would be across all of our subcontractors. That would be the standard approach.
You've not discovered anything with Stay Belvedere?
As I said before, it's not something I could go into the detail of here.
Margaret